citizen. We will never let anyone take that away. Not now. Not ever. Not now. Not ever. Not now. Not ever. I think Mary Gay Scanlon, I'm appreciative of my big brother, Congressman Greg Meeks, my big brother in the United States Congress. We're a family as House Democrats, committed to working hard, standing up on behalf of the American people. It's an honor of a lifetime to be part of this family. To stand on the shoulders of Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer and Jim Clyburn. It's an honor to be part of this family. Fight hard on behalf of the American people. Representative Mary Gay Scanlon, I've got to repeat this, had an amendment, Mr. Speaker, to protect infants, children, babies against the unconstitutional and un-American Trump executive order to end birthright citizenship. Republicans voted that down. Representative Pramila Jayapal had an amendment to prevent ICE from deporting U.S. citizens. United States citizens, Mr. Speaker, that are being deported by the Trump administration. I documented some of that earlier today. We're happy to provide more examples. In fact, I'm happy to debate my colleague, Speaker Mike Johnson, on any of these issues anytime, right here on the floor of the House of Representatives. I sent you that invitation. I sent you that invitation. I sent you that invitation months ago. I'm still waiting to get a response. We're not running from the American people. We're ready to debate any of these issues anytime, any place, particularly right here on the floor of the House of Representatives. Representative Pramila Jayapal, she had an amendment, Mr. Speaker, to prevent ICE from deporting U.S. citizens. Republicans voted that down. Ranking Member Jim McGovern, and this issue is personal to him. I mentioned earlier, we do this work because we're informed by our own personal experiences. It's not about glory, it's not about profit. It's about improving the lives of the American people that we're privileged to represent. Jim McGovern, his wife Lisa, dealing with immense pain, immense personal tragedy. But fighting so hard on behalf of the American people, he had an amendment to restore the critical NIH research funding withheld by Donald Trump and Elon Musk to cure diseases like Alzheimer's and cancer, including pediatric cancer, childhood cancer. Mr. Speaker, you know Republicans voted that down. Hundreds of amendments introduced by Democrats to try to deal with the cruelty and the callousness of Donald Trump's one big ugly bill. Many amendments were offered by Democrats, and Republicans chose not to make these amendments in order. In other words, just ignored them, dismissed their importance. Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Gottheimer offered an amendment that adds a new requirement that the Secretary of HHS certify in writing that the reduction and rescissions made by this act will not affect cancer survivors currently on Medicaid or Medicare. Mr. Speaker, as you know, Republicans dismissed that amendment. Representative Houlihan and Representative Ramirez offered an amendment, Mr. Speaker, that exempts individuals with disabilities from having to prove eligibility for Medicaid every 6 months. That's a burdensome red tape requirement designed to throw people off of Medicaid who are eligible. That amendment was dismissed, Mr. Speaker, as you know, by House Republicans. Representative Sarah McBride the distinguished gentle lady from the great state of Delaware. The distinguished gentle lady from the great state of Delaware. She offered an amendment that requires the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, to certify provisions in this bill to make sure that those provisions will not reduce access to care or increase the cost of care for seniors who are duly eligible for Medicare and Medicaid. Mr. Speaker, as you know, Republicans dismissed that amendment. Representative Rob Menendez offered an amendment that the health provisions will not take effect if it would lead to an increase in mortality rates due to reduced access to hospital services. Mr. Speaker, as you know, House Republicans dismissed that amendment. Representative Val Hoyle introduced an amendment that strikes changes to provider taxes and preserves states' ability to use or increase provider taxes to fund Medicaid and protect hospital funding. Mr. Speaker, you know that despite Representative Hoyle offering this amendment, Republicans dismissed it. Rural hospitals will close as a result of Donald Trump's one big ugly bill. They will close. Susan Collins acknowledged that fact. But House Republicans are here jamming a bill down the throats of the American people that will close hospitals in rural America, in urban America, in small-town America, in the heartland of America, and apparently, Mr. Speaker, couldn't care less. Let me be clear. We're going to stand up for those communities that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have abandoned. We're going to stand up for rural America, urban America, small town America, the heartland of America, Appalachia. We're going to stand up for all of America, whether we represent you or not. Representative Nanette Barragan, one of our co-chairs of Steering and Policy, along with Robin Kelly and DWS, she offered an amendment increasing the Hospital Stabilization Fund. But they had to include in this one big ugly bill, this amendment was designed to protect hospitals from closing and expand eligibility for safety net hospitals that we know exist all across America. In every corner in this country. Safety net hospitals that serve a large number of low-income patients, including those with Medicaid. And yet, Mr. Speaker, as you know, House Republicans dismissed this amendment. Amendment after amendment after amendment that Democrats have introduced to try to relieve the pain that is being visited upon the American people by this one big ugly bill, voted down by Republicans or dismissed out of hand. Representative Costa introduced an amendment to protect those on the low-income heating and energy assistance program who are also targeted by this one big ugly bill. It's part of an effort to ensure that all households on SNAP can continue to qualify. Mr. Speaker, as you know, Republicans dismissed that amendment out of hand, ignored it, did not see fit to take it up. Representative Jill Takuda from the great state of Hawaii, she introduced an amendment trying to prevent the nutrition title of this bill from taking effect. Against USDA can determine that the provisions of this one big ugly bill would not result in material economic harm to farmers, ranchers, and producers. Mr. Speaker, as you know, Republicans dismissed that amendment out of hand. Representative Lloyd Doggett had an amendment to extend tax cuts for the 98% of the American people who make $400,000 or less per year. Had that amendment been taken up and passed, it would have cut the cost of this one big, ugly bill by approximately 50%. And we would have been standing up for those everyday Americans who are now going to be hurt by other provisions in this GOP tax scam, this disgusting abomination. Mr. Speaker, as you know, that amendment dismissed out of hand by the House Republican majority. Representative Seth Magaziner from the great state of Rhode Island. He's only in his second term. Somehow he's the dean of the delegation. Along with my good friend Gabe Amo, Seth Magaziner, he had an amendment to provide a tax cut for the middle class, paid for by increasing taxes on the wealthiest here in this country. Taxes and a tax rate that had previously been at 39%, lowered by the original GOP tax scam in 2017. He had this amendment to provide a tax cut for middle-class Americans. Instead, Republicans are spending $1 trillion on massive tax breaks for the wealthiest amongst us. And that amendment was dismissed out of hand. Representative Stephen Horsford, who also came in the class of 2012, he had an amendment to make no tax on tips, which we support. But we support no tax on tips becoming a permanent part of the law, and that's not what this one big, ugly bill does. Tax breaks for billionaires, permanent. Tax breaks for everybody else expire. That's not the way to stand up for everyday Americans. That's extraordinary. Representative Stephen Horsford's amendments to make no tax on tips permanent and to close loopholes that are in this one big ugly bill. Dismissed out of hand. Amendments introduced by Ranking Member Huffman, Andrea Salinas, Dave Min, Emily Randall, and others, protecting public lands, dismissed out of hand. Amendments on energy introduced by members like Luz Rivas, dismissed out of hand. And I think I'll end this portion of my presentation. Mr. Speaker, I said this portion of my presentation. Still got a little more time. Donald Trump's deadline may be Independence Day. That ain't my deadline. You know why? Mr. Speaker? We don't work for Donald Trump. We work for the American people. That's why we're right here now on the floor of the House of Representatives, standing up for the American people, for everyday Americans, for hardworking American taxpayers, fighting hard to make sure that we can live in a country where every American can afford to live the good life. And as I mentioned earlier, Mr. Speaker, part of being able to afford to live the good life, part of those 5 things that I talked about, which shouldn't be hard to agree upon. Work hard, play by the rules, and then being able to be part of a country. Imagine a country where when you work hard and play by the rules, you can afford to obtain the American dream, to experience the good life, good paying job, good housing, good health care, a good education for your children, and then a good retirement. So we had a series of amendments, Mr. Speaker, introduced on the subject of education. me say something about the Department of Education. And every agency, every department can, of course, be improved in terms of its efficiency, but the Department of Education does important work, particularly as it relates to the most vulnerable children amongst us. And as part of this unprecedented assault on the American way of life, President Donald Trump issued this executive order, effectively trying to abolish the Department of Education. I know there are people all across the country as I travel throughout America concerned about this. Let me make something clear. The Department of Education was established by an act of the United States Congress. It cannot be abolished by anyone pretending to be a wannabe king. Not anyone. It's us, the United States Congress. So we introduced, Mr. Speaker, a series of amendments related to this commitment, this recognition of the importance of education as part of accessing the American dream. Ranking Member Bobby Scott is also battling some issues. Life hits us all, but made sure to make his way here to the House of Representatives. It's part of his commitment to stand up for the education of our children and others. He had an amendment, Mr. Speaker, that strikes all of the extreme parts of the Committee on the Education and Workforce elements of this bill that make it harder for students to access high-quality education, jeopardizes child nutrition programs, and threatens financial student aid, all of which is being done recklessly, Mr. Speaker, by this one big, ugly bill. And as you know, Republicans chose to ignore this amendment, dismiss it out of hand. Representative Sarah Elfreth introduced an amendment to try to increase the amount that hard-working teachers and educators are able to deduct on qualified out-of-pocket classroom expenses. And that amendment was dismissed out of hand. Tax breaks for billionaires, Mr. Speaker, but Republicans have decided hardworking educators can't get an enhanced tax benefit for their out-of-pocket expenses. That's wrong, and as House Democrats, we will continue to stand behind the educators of the United States of America, the teachers in the United States of America, those to whom we entrust our most precious asset, our children. And House Republicans, Mr. Speaker, aren't standing up for educators, for the teachers of America. This is extraordinary. But we're going to continue to stand with our teachers and stand with our public schools all across the United States of America. That's what House Democrats are going to continue to do. Representative Val Hoyle had an amendment to increase Pell Grant funding, Pell Grant awards that are severely undermined in Donald Trump's one big ugly bill. Mr. Speaker, it's extraordinary to me that this reckless Republican budget manages to go after blue-collar jobs, organized labor, hardworking American taxpayers who don't shower before going to work but shower after work, that Donald Trump's one big ugly bill goes after blue-collar, good-paying, prevailing wage jobs here in the United States of America, and then also goes after access to higher education. Representative Val Hoyle had an amendment, Mr. Speaker, increasing Pell Grant awards that are severely undermined in this bill. House Republicans chose to ignore this amendment, dismiss it out of hand. This is another one of those areas where our commitment to experiencing the American dream, whatever path you choose, whether that's through career and technical education, as has been the case by many members in their experience or their family experience. Don Norcross, one of our leaders in this regard, Debbie Dingell, others, Mark Pocan, part of the Labor Caucus, leaders in this regard. Mark Pocan, part of the trades movement. Don Norcross, part of the trades movement. Debbie Dingell, so close to the UAW and the trades. It's one of those areas where we also are informed by our personal experiences, why we find what is taking place, Mr. Speaker, in this one big ugly bill so disgusting, these attacks by Republicans on the ability of all Americans to achieve the American dream, to be part of imagining an America where everyone who works hard and plays by the rules can live the good life. Higher education is not the entire solution, but it certainly is part of it. This was taught to me by my grandma Nana. She never had a formal 4-year education, but perhaps she was the wisest woman I've ever known. And she was determined to make sure that her 2 grandsons had the ability, as best she could, to obtain an education that might ultimately, for us, coming out of this working class neighborhood, Crown Heights in central Brooklyn, spending a lot of time in Bedford-Stuyvesant where she lived, on the corner of Putnam and Lewis, right down the block from the Cornerstone Baptist Church. She was determined to make sure that her 2 grandsons had the best opportunity, and in her view, and Grandma Nano's view, That meant access to education. And so, when we were young, she said to my younger brother and I, I'll never forget this conversation. We were in her home in Bed-Stuy. She said that the two of you are going to go to elementary school and then you'll graduate, go to middle school and graduate, high school and graduate, college and graduate. And then she dreamed about us going to graduate school, get a law degree, a PhD, a medical degree, an MBA, some form of advanced education. We were like, Grandma, we're going to be in school our entire lives. And she was so committed to that journey that every single time we graduated, this is a woman of modest means, she gave my younger brother and I, whoever was the graduate, $500 in cash. I still don't know where Nano got that money from. I know it came by her honestly. She saved for it. But it was designed to help incentivize her grandchildren to keep going through all of the obstacles. And Mr. Speaker, I made the mistake one day of telling that story, this $500 incentive, in front of my two sons. And they said, Dad, you've been shortchanging us our entire lives. Access to education is a part of the journey for many of us. Shocking to me that this one aspect, not the only aspect, this one aspect that Thomas Jefferson, the author of the Declaration of Independence, once articulated, the father of the University of Virginia. Ben Franklin, the father of the University of Pennsylvania, others saw an important role for enlightened education as just one path that we as House Democrats are trying to protect, while also making sure that every single hardworking American can get the type of career and technical education if they choose that path to experience the American dream. Mr. Speaker, as I perhaps approach the end of this particular journey, let me just reiterate that as House Democrats, we maintain from the very beginning of this Congress, we acknowledged the election of President Donald Trump, offered to work with our colleagues on the other side of the aisle, whenever and wherever possible, in order to make life better for the American people, to stand up for the things that matter, not as Democrats, independents, or Republicans, but as Americans. But the route, Mr. Speaker, that has been taken by House Republicans is to go it alone. and to try to jam this one big ugly bill filled with extreme right-wing policy priorities down the throats of the American people. That's why, in good conscience, we can't stand here, Mr. Speaker, and support this effort, this one big ugly bill that hurts everyday Americans and rewards billionaires with massive tax breaks. America is too expensive. Housing costs are too high. Grocery costs are too high. Childcare costs are too high. Energy costs are too high. Insurance costs are too high. America is too expensive. President Trump and House Republicans promised to lower costs on day one. Mr. Speaker, but costs aren't going down, they are going up. The policies unleashed by the Trump administration have been so chaotic, so all over the place, so much uncertainty has been created that the economy is being run off track, and nothing has been done to lower the high cost of living. In fact, not a single thing in Donald Trump's one big, ugly bill will meaningfully make life more affordable for everyday Americans, and that's just one of several reasons why House Democrats are a hell no on this legislation. We were a hell no last week, a hell no this week, a hell no yesterday, a hell no today, and will continue to be a hell no on this effort to hurt the American people. And I note for the record, Mom, hell is in the Bible. The American people are understandably frustrated by the high cost of living. Yes, they're frustrated by the unprecedented assault on the American way of life, on our democracy, on the rule of law, on due process, on health care, on Social Security, on nutritional assistance, but it's my sincere hope that we can find a path forward to actually address for the American people some of the underlying sources of their frustration. The fact that people, far too many people, you've heard the stories, Mr. Speaker, and that's just a fraction of the stories that have been shared with us, members of the United States House of Representatives, just a fraction of the stories that I've been able, on behalf of House Democrats, to enter into the record. They're frustrated by a lot of the things that have gone on in this country since January 20th. I'm frustrated by a lot of what has gone on, disgusted by a lot of what has gone on, Mr. Speaker, in this country since January 20th. We are better than this. But it's also important, one of the things that I hope, Mr. Speaker, we'll be able to address at some point is the source of the underlying frustration. It's a frustration in the comments, in the eloquent words of all of those presidential leaders that I mentioned earlier today, this frustration, this economic frustration. FDR talked about it. Truman talked about it. Kennedy talked about it. Johnson talked about it. Carter talked about it. Clinton talked about it. President Obama talked about it. President Biden talked about it. It's a consistent strand. And while progress has been made in the United States of America, we've come a long way on behalf of working class Americans. There is still a way to go to ensure that in this great country, hardworking American taxpayers don't simply work hard and play by the rules just to survive, barely paycheck to paycheck, but are able to actually thrive. That's the America that we should all commit to work hard towards bringing about. Good paying job, good housing, good health care, good education for your children, and a good retirement. A fair shot at achieving the American Leap. A good retirement, let me reiterate it for the record, that means, Mr. Speaker, that people in this town need to keep their hands off the Social Security and the Medicare of the American people. Keep your hands off Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all of the things. Hands off. And one of the many reasons why we strongly oppose Donald Trump's one big ugly bill is because it will result in the largest cut to Medicare, sets in motion the largest cut to Medicare, more than $500 billion by some estimations in American history. The American people understandably frustrated, not for years, but for decades, that far too many have dealt with a situation where the system is not building an economy that works for hardworking American taxpayers, for everyday Americans, for working class Americans, for everyone who aspires to be part of the middle class. It's our sincere hope that we can get to a place one day, perhaps in a bipartisan way, not connected to this extreme and reckless, dangerous, partisan bill, this one big, ugly bill that will hurt everyday Americans in order to reward billionaires, that we actually can get to the work of lifting up everyday Americans, because the deck has been stacked against you for far too long. And that's not the America that the American people deserve. And part of the challenge, part of the problem, part of the issue as to why we find ourselves, everyday Americans, in this situation, it's because of the dominance of special interests in this town. And this one big, ugly bill represents a massive giveaway to special interests in this country. And we reject special interests because our job here in the United States of America, Mr. Speaker, is to protect the public interest at all times, today, tomorrow, always and forever. Extraordinary to me, Mr. Speaker, that you got folks in this town talking about draining the swamp. Guess what? You are the swamp. You are the swamp. You are the swamp. We've never seen anything like this. The type of corruption that has been unleashed on the American people and has poisoned, Mr. Speaker, this bill. See, you're consulting the parliamentarian, I think. I said people in this town. I'm thankful that my grandmother saw fit to have her grandson educated. We've never seen a level, Mr. Speaker, of this type of corruption unleashed on the American people that has made its way into this one big, ugly bill. Extraordinary levels of corruption in this town, unleashed on the American people. Corruption on steroids would be an understatement. In terms of what the American people are now being subjected to. So one of the things we look forward to changing in this town, I want to make this commitment, House Democrats. We are committed to making sure that we end corruption once and for all in the United States of America, in corruption in Congress, in corruption at the Supreme Court, and in corruption with the administration. That's part of our agenda, an anti-corruption agenda. That's what the American people deserve. That's what we as House Democrats are committed to bringing about. The exact opposite, Mr. Speaker, of what we see in this bill. We're going to present to the American people an anti-corruption agenda, the likes of which have never been seen. Because it's too much. Fundamentally, it undermines the ability of government to deliver for everyday Americans. You see that politics, at the end of the day, is about the management of public money. That's why we need everyday Americans to participate in your democracy. Because politics, at the end of the day, is about the management of public money. It's about how taxpayer dollars are going to be managed. And what's extraordinary about this one big, ugly bill is that what we see, Mr. Speaker, is the management of public money, all of it being done in this highly partisan way. It's not designed to serve the best interest of the American people. It's being managed, Mr. Speaker, in this GOP tax scam, this disgusting abomination, this one big, ugly bill. The management of taxpayer money being misused and abused to hurt everyday Americans in order to reward billionaires with massive tax breaks. That's a dereliction of duty. Mismanagement of public money. It's an abuse of the privilege that all of us as members of the United States Congress have. And so one of our promises to the American people as we look toward the future, we will always be stewards of your money to make sure that we are allocating taxpayer dollars in a way designed to lift up the American people, not tear the American people down. That's the type of Congress that the American people deserve. The public interest over special interest. The public interest over special interest. The public interest over special interest. That's one of our promises to the American people. And we're going to work hard to earn your trust as we move forward and look toward the future. I mentioned earlier in my remarks that I wanted to talk a little bit about faith. I grew up in the Cornerstone Baptist Church. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. We walk by faith, not by sight. You just have faith the size of a mustard seed. You can move mountains. We come this far by faith. Can't leave this floor, Mr. Speaker, without talking a little bit about faith.
Talk about faith. Talk about faith.
And I use faith in the broadest sense of the word. Proud of what we are in this country: Jewish faith, Muslim faith, Hindu faith, Buddhist faith, Christian faith. All faiths. That's the interesting thing. This rush to jam this reckless bill down the throats of the American people, all of it somehow connected to our 249th birthday that we're going to celebrate tomorrow, July 4th. A journey launched by the Declaration of Independence, and ultimately this principle embedded in the First Amendment around the importance of faith, but also at the same time the importance of separating church and state. It's all in the First Amendment as interpreted by the Supreme Court. Don't have time, I think, to really deeply go into it, but you've got... You've got the Establishment Clause and you've got the Free Exercise Clause. Framers of this country recognize the importance of faith, our journey of religion. I'm proud of my Christian faith. But I also recognize the importance of the plurality of all of us, men and women of faith, different religions, and also of the fact that here in America we embrace the religious and the secular. The religious and the secular. But on this question of faith, I alluded to it a little earlier. It seems to me that the Gospels, that the New Testament, there's some interesting parts of the Old Testament. I'm tempted to tell the story of King Nebuchadnezzar. Mr. Speaker, a lot of parallels to what's going on right now. But I'm gonna focus at this moment on the New Testament prescription, the Gospels. I think it was mentioned earlier by one of my colleagues. I think Don Beyer mentioned it earlier. Matthew, the 25th chapter, verses 35 and 40. I think it's important that at this time, in this moment, in this debate, before I leave the floor of the House of Representatives, that this Scripture be entered into the congressional record. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. A stranger, and you invited me in. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick. I had medical problems. Maybe I needed Medicare, or Medicaid, or the Affordable Care Act, or the Children's Health Insurance Program, or Planned Parenthood. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. We have a right as members of Congress to visit people who are detained. It's not just in law, it's right here in Matthew. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you? Or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in? Or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? And of course, the reply from Jesus, truly, I tell you, whatever you did, whatever you did, Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. That's what we should be doing here in the United States House of Representatives. Our job is to stand up for the poor, the sick, and the afflicted, the least, the lost, and the left behind, everyday Americans. That's what Matthew teaches us. And that's not what's happening in this one big, ugly bill. That's not consistent with what my faith teaches me. I'm not down with this situation. I'm not down with this situation. Well, you got some folks in this town. They go to church. Mr. Speaker, I said some folks in this town, they go to church. And I'm not questioning anybody's faith. I'm just making an observation. Got some folks in this town, they go to church and they pray on Sunday. P-R-A-Y. And then they come to Congress and pray P-R-E-Y on the American people. I'm not down with that kind of faith. That ain't my faith. That's not our faith. That's not the faith that comes out of the gospel. I can't find that kind of faith in Matthew 25 and 35. I can't find that kind of faith. But I do see something else.
Tell us what you see. Tell us what you see.
Can I talk about it for a moment?
Talk about it. Talk about it. Take your sweet time. Take your sweet time.
Take your time.
I do see something else, kind of what I'm seeing connected to this one big ugly bill. I don't know if this was an inspiration to this extraordinary assault on the American people, this corrupt piece of legislation. But when I look over my Bible, and this is going to come from John, it's not going to come from 2 Corinthians, although the Apostle Paul has a lot to say about that. And, Mr. Speaker, I said 2 Corinthians, not 2 Corinthians. I don't know who I'm talking about, but if you're going to sell the Bible, you should know the Bible. Trying to figure out, because it's not in Matthew.
That's right.
25, 35 to 40, but I did see something in John.
Go ahead now. Tell us what you said. Tell us what you said.
John 10 and 10. This frightens me in this moment that we're living in. It says the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. It's incredible to me that we're here dealing with a piece of legislation literally that steals money from everyday Americans, from hardworking American taxpayers, steals money from Medicaid, Medicare, the Affordable Care Act, supplemental nutritional assistance, steals money from Pell Grants, from the education of our children, from energy assistance programs. Thief comes only to steal
Come on, steal.
and kill.
Well done.
I don't say this lightly, Mr. Speaker, but we stand behind this point. That when you try to take health care away,
Yes.
what this bill does, taking health care away from everyday Americans, more than 17 million, this unprecedented assault on Medicaid, on the Affordable Care Act, on Medicare, on children's health insurance. What you effectively are doing, hurting everyday Americans, hurting children, hurting women, hurting older Americans, seniors, people with disabilities. Nursing homes will close.
Tell them what they're doing.
Hospitals will shut down.
Let them know what they're doing.
Community-based health clinics
Tell them.
unable to operate. We're actually here debating legislation, Mr. Speaker, that will result in tens of thousands of everyday Americans losing their lives
Tell them what they're doing.
because of the inability to get health care that they now have
Tell them.
and is being ripped away
Let them know.
from them. John 10:10, the thief comes only to steal
Steal.
and kill
Kill.
and destroy. All-out assault on the American people. All-out assault on health care, the economy, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, nutritional assistance, veterans, farmers, law-abiding immigrant families, small business
Tell them.
owners. All of the things that we've spent some time on this House floor talking about, that this bill is trying to destroy.
That's right.
Destroy the American way of life.
Make it plain.
Can't find anything in the Bible and the New Testament, certainly not in Matthew 25 and 35. Matthew 25, the 35th chapter, and all the way through the 40th verse, but somehow I happened upon John 10:10. And thinking about this one big ugly bill. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. But America is a resilient nation. We're an exceptional nation. We're a strong nation. We've been through turbulence, trials, and tribulations. And we always somehow have found a way to make it through. Because of the resilience, Mr. Speaker, of the American people.
Yes.
So whatever happens today as it relates to this one big ugly bill, if my Republican colleagues decide that once again, Mr. Speaker, you're simply going to make the decision to serve as a reckless rubber stamp of President Trump's extreme agenda, I still have faith in the United States of America. I still have faith in the United States of America. I still have faith in the United States of America. We will not let anyone in this town destroy what America represents. Not now, not ever. It's not going to be easy. We recognize that. But we've got faith in the resilience
You have time. Take your time. Sweet time.
of the American people. So I get ready to close shortly in.
Now take your time.
Take your time.
Take your time. Come on.
Take your sweet time.
Tell them. Tell them. Come on. Spend your time.
Take your
Well, let me say it
yes, say it.
one more time. Our Republican colleagues tried to jam this reckless, extreme bill, Mr. Speaker, down the throats of the American people. Had the nerve to start this debate at 3:28 a.m. in the middle of the night. But we made clear that we were going to expose all of the things that are being done to harm the American people.
Yeah, that's right. Tell them.
Not in the dark of night, but in the light of day. This little light of mine, we're going to let it shine on behalf of the American people. Incredible to me that Republicans would try to jam this one big, ugly bill down the throats of the American people in the dead of night. And then, to add insult to injury, Mr. Speaker, allocate 15 minutes. 15 minutes to each side on the committees of jurisdiction.
Shame. What a shame.
15 minutes to the Ways and Means Committee on each side. 15 minutes
Take your time. Take your time.
to the Budget Committee. That's extraordinary. But I'm thankful, I'm appreciative of all of my colleagues who stand behind me.
That's right.
I'm thankful. Thankful to all of my colleagues for their commitment, their courage, their conviction, standing up on behalf of the American people to deliver, hopefully, what is a message of concern, but also a message of hope.
Come on.
That's right.
Hope.
We got to fight a lot of battles on behalf of the American people. It's not over.
It's not over.
Fighting a lot of battles on behalf of the American people. This is just one of them.
This one.
But we wanted to make sure that the American people had an opportunity to fully and more completely understand in the light of day just how damaging
In the light.
this one big, ugly bill will be to the American people. And I plead with my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, Mr. Speaker. I really plead with my colleagues, inspired by some of the framers of the Constitution, the great scholars, the great thinkers, conceived of this incredible journey that we've been on in the United States of America, creating separate and co-equal branches of government, recognizing that in this country, part of the gift that we were given by the framers of the United States Constitution, no kings, no dictators, no monarchs, separate and co-equal branches of government. This is the Article I branch of government. Mr. Speaker, James Madison, he once made the observation, in his view, in one of the Federalist Papers, that at its best, Congress should function as a rival to the executive branch. That was James Madison. Article I, branch of government, the House and the Senate. We're not here to bend the knee to any wannabe king. Mr. Speaker, we're not here to bend the knee to any wannabe king. We're here to be a rival to the executive branch in the best spirits of the House of Representatives, to push back against an out-of-control executive branch. That's the framers' vision. I said that's the framers' vision.
That's what they said.
The framers' vision. And so as we prepare to take this consequential vote, Mr. Speaker, I just urge many of my colleagues in government, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, Mr. Speaker, we don't work for President Trump. We don't work for J.D. Vance. We don't work for Elon Musk. Mr. Speaker, as all of us prepare to cast this vote, I hope my Republican colleagues will come to the conclusion that we work for the American people. We work for the American people. We don't work for any president. We work with American presidents. We work for the American people. So it's my hope that as you evaluate this bill, all of the harm that is being unleashed on the American people, ripping health care away from more than 17 million Americans, effectively ending Medicaid as we know it, shutting down hospitals, including in rural America, in districts, Mr. Speaker, that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle represent.
That's right. They're people.
Nursing homes closing. 1 in 4 nursing homes, Mr. Speaker, will close as a result of the attack on Medicaid and Donald Trump's one big, ugly bill. Mr. Speaker, this is extraordinary. This assault on everyday Americans, assault on children, veterans, seniors, people with disabilities. It's incredible to me. All of this in this one big ugly bill.
Take your time.
Ripping food away from children, literally ripping food out of the mouths of hungry children, hungry veterans, and hungry seniors. Mr. Speaker, that's not America. We're better than that. Mr. Speaker, we're better than that. Ripping food out of the mouths of vulnerable Americans. That's extraordinary that's what we're doing. Extraordinary. And all of this is being done? This unprecedented assault on everyday Americans is being unleashed on the American people. Mr. Speaker, on the most vulnerable amongst us. All of this is being done to provide massive tax breaks to billionaire donors. Shame on this institution if this bill passes. That's not America. We're better than this. We are better. We are better. We are better than this. I think that as we prepare to vote on this one big ugly bill, tough time for people in the United States of America. It's extraordinary extremism unleashed on the American people. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle promised to address the high cost of living. Nothing in this bill will meaningfully lower the high cost of living in the United States of America. Nothing. It's incredible to me. All of the promises that were made by some people in this town. That the top priority was going to be to lower the high cost of living in the United States of America. And then, all of last year, ran away from Project 2025. Come on. Acted like it didn't exist.
That's right.
And then, Mr. Speaker, people come to town, they're in the majority now, and every single part of the extremism that we've seen unleashed on the American people is connected to Project 2025. Every single part. But here's why I still got hope, optimism. I referenced this earlier today as we prepare to experience the 249th birthday of the United States of America. Yeah. Take it back to that original document. Yeah. Declaration of Independence, 1776. Mr. Speaker, it had the aspirational part. We hold these truths to be self-evident. that all men are created equal,
Yeah. Come on now. Bring it home.
endowed by their Creator with certain
Yeah.
unalienable
Bring it home.
rights,
Come on now.
that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Come on. Come on, Lou.
That's the aspirational part of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
And as House Democrats, we're committed, no matter what it takes, to bring that about. Imagine in America where everyone who works hard and plays by the rules can live the good life, afford to live the good life.
Come on now.
Good paying jobs, good housing, good health care, good education for your children, and a good retirement. That's what House Democrats are fighting for. That's the aspirational part of the Declaration of Independence, to bring that to life, the pursuit of happiness. That's the aspirational part. But then when you look at that Declaration of Independence, the second part of it, it reads like an indictment against an out-of-control king. Reads like an indictment against an out-of-control king. I commend all Americans, perhaps sometime tomorrow, I'm going to do this myself, read that document in its entirety.
Come on, read it, read it.
And why was that indictment issued? I think it was because the framers of this great country, they were fed up with Project 1775. And so they implemented Project 1776. So I know that there are people concerned with what's happening in America, but understand what our journey teaches us is that after Project 2025 comes Project 2026. And you will have an opportunity to end this national nightmare as part of Project 2026. I love the framers. They gave us a blueprint for what should give us hope in this moment.
That's right.
I think that I want to close by referencing
Take your sweet time.
someone who we all serve with. I want to stand on the shoulders, if it's okay, on some of our civil rights heroes and foot soldiers.
Yes, yes.
Those whose character, whose conviction, whose courage should give the American people hope at a moment of great despair. Many of us had the great honor of serving with Congressman John Lewis. The great honor, Mr. Speaker, to serve with Congressman John Lewis.
That's right.
And I came across something that John Lewis said in June of 2028, that hopefully, no matter what the outcome of this vote, will give people some hope. Great John Lewis said, "Do not get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful.
Say his word.
Be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. That's our struggle. No matter what, Mr. Speaker, you decide to do today. That's our struggle. Standing on the shoulders of John Lewis. That's our struggle. Never, ever be afraid to make some noise and get into good trouble. Good trouble. Good trouble. Necessary trouble. Standing on the shoulders of giants. John Lewis would often talk to us about his admiration for Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Dr. King, who would refer to John Lewis as the boy from Troy.
The boy from Troy.
Now, what's interesting to me, that civil rights movement, we can learn a lot from it. Started December of 1955. And Rosa Parks sat down on that bus so that all of us could have the courage to stand up.
That's right.
Wasn't an easy struggle. All the odds were stacked against these civil rights heroes and foot soldiers. And during the early days of the movement, a difficult part of the movement, Dr. King, after they'd been targeted, arrested, beaten, harassed by the authorities, he traveled to Brooklyn, New York.
Yes. Brooklyn.
And spoke at the Concord Baptist Church. I think it was in March of 1956. And he said to a group of people of every race, every religion, every life experience, the Concord Baptist Church in Bedford-Stuyvesant, said to them, no matter what the odds, we've got to press on.
Press on.
Dr. King said that if you can't fly, run.
That's right.
If you can't run, walk.
That's right.
If you can't walk, crawl. But at all times, press on. And keep pressing. And so as I take my seat, I just want to say to the American people that no matter what the outcome is on this singular day, we're going to press on. We're going to press on. We're going to press on. We're going to press on for our children, press on for our seniors, press on for our veterans, press on for our unions, press on for our farmers, press on for our dreamers, press on for working class Americans, press on for the middle class, press on for all who aspire to be part of the middle class, press on for the poor, press on for the sick, press on for the afflicted, press on for the least. Press on for the lost. Press on for the left behind. Press on for the rule of law. Press on for the American way of life. Press on for democracy. We're going to press on until victory is won. I yield back.
Gentleman from Massachusetts.
You don't need to take an hour.
This gentleman from
Eight
Massachusetts.
hours.
Gentleman from
think it's,
Massachusetts.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's fair to say the leader has done his part. I have no further speakers. I yield back our time.
Gentleman from Massachusetts yield. Gentleman from Missouri is recognized for 1 minute. You have 2 minutes remaining.
Mr. Speaker, could we have order?
The House will be in order. The House will be in order, please. The House will be in order, please. Thank you. Gentleman from Missouri is recognized for 1 minute. You have 2 minutes remaining.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we have stood in this chamber